This is a short overview of the new features of 3D Invigorator Pro version 7. Now, a few months ago, you'll remember that we released Pro Animator version 7, and it had all this amazing new theatrical lighting type of features in it. So what we've done with Invigorator Pro 7 is done the same type of thing. We've added the theatrical lighting features to your After Effects projects working with After Effects keyframe animation instead of Pro Animator automatic procedural animation. Okay, so if you're wondering, that's the main difference between these programs, is that After Effects, the Invigorator uses the After Effects timeline to set all the keyframes for all the motion. Pro Animator uses its own procedural animation engine, so you can get a lot fancier animation much easier. However, there are a lot of folks that really love Invigorator because they love their After Effects keyframes, so that's why Invigorator is still around. That's because it still is very usable. In fact, it's a fantastic program. Okay, so this is a really short overview, like I was saying. This is a quick example already set up showing you how we're actually using After Effects lights, and then we're casting beams, flares, shadows. You see there's nice little smoke in the lighting, all from After Effects lighting. But first, let's go to a blank project and show you how to create all this stuff from scratch. Okay? So here we have a layer. It's the same size as our comp, and we're going to go down here and add Zaxwerks 3D Invigorator Pro to it. First thing is we now have a ground primitive. Woohoo! Makes it much easier to get in there and go faster. And let's see. So there's our ground, and let's add another sphere just to have something to look at. Okay, so that's going to just sit here for a second. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is that we have a lights and flares section now. There used to be a use comp lights button right here. That disappeared when we added lights and flares. So now you can do like so much more. It's just incredible. It comes with 8 flare sets and 8 light sets already set up, ready to go. Each one of these sets can be their own deal. You can use each one of these to control different After Effects lights or create lights all on their own. So let me show you how to create lights on their own. First, we do that by turning down the light set number 1, and these are all the parameters for a single light set. Okay, so it is enabled right now, but you see there's no, it's just sort of like on work lighting, because there's no lights here. So we're going to take this, turn this over to point light, and then set this up to 1, and there we have 1 point light. All right, so you can see the little icon right there. You'll see it out here as long as you're in draft mode. So when you turn it to final mode, you get the final quality rendering with no light icons. So that makes it easy to see what's going on. Now you'll see these are their own icons. They're not the After Effects lights. Those are just sitting over there. I'm going to turn the After Effects light off for the time being. And we're just going to work with this. So this is a point light. We can also set this to spotlight. And now we have 1 spotlight. So here's the thing. Light color, spotlights, number of lights. Let's just do number of lights. It's really easy to put multiple lights on a single track. This is one of the main differences. You know, in After Effects, you normally have to create a new light and 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 create a new light if you want new lights and you want to do something with these. Here, you can just say, okay, give me 20 lights, give me 11 lights, give me 13 lights, give me no lights, whatever. It's real easy to bounce back and forth, and because it's all live like this, you can change your mind at any time. So here's 4 lights. The colors of the lights are controllable through these little guys right here. This is a 1 color setup. We've got alternating 2 color, which you see uses light color 1 and 2. 3 color, we've got all 3 lights going on here, and then of course there's lots of different random options if you really don't care what exactly the lights are, but you just want something different. So let's put this on like vivid, so it's going to burn our eyes, but it makes it really easy to see what's going on. By the way, dealing with these randoms, if you ever need to change the color of the randoms, see this one's pink and this one's green. If we want to change which random it is, just change it to like 1 color or something else and then go back to the random it is, and it'll pick a new random style. So here we go. Let's those are too close, and pick something here that looks decent. Okay, those are all 3 easy to tell what's all 4 easy to tell what's going on. Alright, so here we go. There's a lot of other tutorials dealing with what these things are in detail, but that's basically it. Brightness, brightness of the light, beam brightness. That's only when the beams are showing, so we're not going to mess with this now. cone angle. So we can adjust these. We can adjust these guys on the fly. We can make them, of course, little bitty spotlights and zoom them around, or make them bigger. We can, of course, adjust the feather for it. And then we've got this thing here, pipe size. Now you'll notice that these lights are all in a line. Okay. If they're all in a line, it means that the program is thinking of them as being on the same pipe. All right? You know, lights in real world are always hanging off of something. You've got a tree or a pipe or a truss or something like that. So these guys come, and by default, they're all hanging off the same pipe. So by adjusting the pipe size, that's like the pipe length, we can adjust how far apart or spaced out these guys are. Okay? Position, start, and end. I'll go over that in a second. What the lights are pointing at. This is a good one. There are a lot of options here. Now, none means that they're just sitting there using whatever the rotation angles are to adjust what these guys are pointing at. Notice you can move these around up here, or you can turn on use comp camera. When I turn on use the comp camera, then I can, guess what, use the comp camera. So let's move this around like this. Now we're dragging in this window. Make it a little easier to look at, and here you can see that as we're moving these guys around, you can see what the lights are doing. Great. So none, left, right, up, down, origin. Origin's a nice one, because what this does here is you see it snaps everything so that they're all looking at the origin. Now the thing that's really different about this is being done continually. All right, it's always going to look at the origin. Of course, you can always add in other little rotations that you want to also. I mean, if you want to rotate everything a little bit this way or a little bit that way, you can. But this is sort of a starting point. Now, the cool thing about this is that they're always going to point at the origin, as long as I have these numbers correct, even if you move the pipes around. All right, so check this out. Say we take this and we just change where the position of these pipes are. You see, they're always going to be pointing back towards the origin. This makes it super easy to set up an animation, get it rolling, and then maybe change the position of the pipes just a little bit, but they're still tracking the objects that they're supposed to be looking at. See, these are what the lights are pointing at. And some of these include objects. Okay, so you can choose objects and have them watch the objects. Another really nice one here are the fans. If you set it on fan, you've got a control right here called fan angle, and what this does is this will then adjust your lights like this. And let me roll this around so it's really easy to see. Okay, and fan angle, so we can fan them out or fan them all together. This is really nice when you're having to set up lots of lights all at the same time and they all have to do something that looks coordinated and together. Fan really helps you out. Now, there are position randomizations and rotation randomizations right here. So if you want to put a little bit of randomization so it doesn't look like it's so exactly perfect, you can just toss that in. Fan will still work just like normal, except now it's just not quite as perfect as it was before. So lots of stuff to do like that. Light fall off, light set track 1. This is when you're going to be tracking other 3D layers. I'll show you how to do this later with a fancier tutorial. But basically what you can do is you can set up all of your After Effects lighting, have these lights track a null that's controlling all of it, and then move everything as a big rig. It's so cool. Can't wait to show it to you. Okay, these are the position and rotation controls for the truss itself. So if you're going to, you see you can rotate the truss or the pipe. You know, you're doing a Z rotation there, or a Y rotation, or an X rotation like that. Okay, so that sort of gets you in there fast and quick, moves the pipes around, lets you move the lights around. You get the idea. To go and then control what exactly you're seeing, we need to go into our setup window. So this is all the stuff that you can animate using After Effects keyframes. Of course, it's just standard stuff, right? You turn on the timeline, the animation marker, and then you set keyframes in here just like normal. Okay, all the stuff that I've been showing you in this control can be animated. So let's see. Perfect. Spotlights. Okay, yeah, we're ready to make the jump. Now, if any of you guys are used to doing the old way, you'll remember that we had a little red ball. Some folks just didn't know what that red ball was, so we changed the name. We call it Set Up now. Okay, and there's also something else here too. We've moved the update button up here. It's much easier to find that way. There used to be a couple of update buttons down in here. This is when you're tracking other After Effects layers and you'd move the After Effects layer, but like your Invigorator stuff didn't move to match. It's just because After Effects doesn't have the capability of notifying the plugin sort of in a reverse way. According to After Effects, it's a hidden thing. They promise that they're going to be changing that soon. Maybe we'll see that in the next version. But in the meantime, the Update Scene button is sitting right here, so it's real easy now. Whatever it is that you're tracking, you move the track, you click this button, and then it updates whatever it is that was tracking. So in the meantime, let's go into our Setup button, our Setup window, and see what we've got. Okay, so right here, let me move this down here. If you don't see this sort of a setup, you need to click this button down here. It's called Lighting, and that'll adjust your workspace so that it looks more like this. I'm capturing this a little small, so I'm just going to move this over so we can see all the rest of our flares. Now, these are the flares. It comes with over 50 professionally designed flares. They are awesome, and I'll show you how to use those in a second. We've got the flare controls right there. We've got lighting controls right there. You'll notice that these are the 4 lights that we created out in the other window, right? In the Effect Controls window. All the same controls are sitting right here. So if I want to, I can change the number of lights here, and then when I go back out to After Effects, so that'll all update, right? So everything's fine, everything's easy to get a hold of and control. You'll see as I'm moving this, it's actually changing the lights in the list. There's the same point at, this is the same move, rotation, position control, stuff like this. So the first thing we're going to do here, we're not going to spend a lot of time in here, but I would need to show you how to turn on the visibility of these pipes. Okay, so it's right here. Right now it defaults to a straight pipe. There's a bunch of different types of pipes, rows and columns of pipes, box trusses. Let's turn on a box truss. Now you might have seen a little bit of shift here, but there's nothing there. That's because you're using a box truss. Inside its brain, it's using a box truss. But we haven't shown it yet. So show pipes and truss. You turn that on, and there it is. Okay, now, you'll remember that we left it at some sort of a cockeyed angle. Okay, it's there, but you still can't see it. And that's because we need a light. See all these spotlights? They're hanging below the truss. And this is a perfectly pitch black room. So what we need is we need another light to light up this truss. And we're going to do that by taking light set number 2, selecting it, going and making sure it's on parallel light, and then setting it to 1. Okay? As soon as we do that, you see everything is now glaringly over bright, and that's because our parallel light is shining straight down. If I rotate this around, well, I guess it's not straight down, but it's pretty close. You can see how it's at an angle. Okay? So what we're going to do is this. That's because of this little X thing right here. Now, when a parallel light is shining straight down, it lights everything up very, very brightly. What we're going to do is we want to light this up, but we don't want the parallel light to light the floor. So we're going to rotate this guy until you see it's dimmer, and as soon as it goes parallel to the floor, it's not going to be lighting it up at all. We could continue and light this up from below if you wanted, and that's actually a pretty cool look too when you get those bottom lit sort of things. But for the time being, we'll just keep it at about 90 or thereabouts. All right, let's rotate this guy around and show you what else we have. Now we'll go back and reselect light number 1, and you know what, let me zero this stuff out and zero these pipe positions out to 0, 0. Okay, oh gosh, it's sitting way too low now. Should have just lifted that guy up, and we'll pull it back a little bit. Okay, fair enough. So that's pretty easy. So you see now we've got this nice little truss here, and the trusses are, there's lots of fun trusses that we can play with. Okay, we can have ring pipes, adjust the size, or we could even have ring trusses. I'll let you guys play around with those on your own. As you adjust the size, notice it's not scaling it, it's rebuilding it. Okay, the cross beams are always going to look right. This range slider right here, this lets you control, you can make arcs out of the circle. You see it's not disappearing, it's actually clipping. Okay, well, it's actually not even building it is what it is. But this is fun. Makes stuff really easy to do very fast. Okay, so here we are. We have our ring truss going on right now, and our lights are pointing randomly, more or less randomly, straight down. We've got a little fan on that. Let's turn that off too. I think we're still on fan, so let's just turn on none. Okay, so there we go. pipe and ring position, and cones. Okay, let's show you how to turn on the cones. You just click that button, and that turns the cones on. I'm going to turn off these light bounding boxes so that we can see what's going on. And then the length of these is controllable with this guy right here. Okay, so you can control the length of the beam and the type of light that shows up from the beam. Okay, now take a look at this. We've got this default material right here. That comes, it comes with about, what, 10, something like that. Each one of these has its own sort of personality. All right, it's really fantastic stuff to work with. All right, it's not just a flat color. It's got personality, which is fun. So that's the back cave booty beam. Very hot, very punchy sort of a thing. Sometimes you've got to adjust these bigger or smaller so that they work based upon the beam that you're looking at. Okay, and let's see, others do different types of things. Chit Chat is a real nice one. Actually, they're all really nice. They're lots of fun. Elevate is very ethereal. It's got lots of nice sort of smoky streaks in it, things like that, and such. So that's because they're all coming out of these these lights. Right now, these lights don't actually have a size to them, which makes them look a little goofy. So to take care of that, we've got fixtures. We'll turn on fixtures just by clicking this button. Bang, and now you'll see it creates a fixture for us. Now, one odd thing about this is that this is a scoop, so we can change these guys. We can change them to like ellipsoidal styles. This one has some nice barn doors on it. And oops, I'm below the light right now. There we go. And let's see. And some of these, again, I'll let you play around with them. The Martin Mac is a real nice motion control type rig, and you'll see what it looks like right there. Very cool, very cool. So as you're moving these guys around, you see it will automatically move the fixtures for you. Okay, how cool is that? It's the sort of thing that usually takes a lot of time to set up, and we make it so easy and lots of fun. Okay, there you go. That's a real quick overview of how all this stuff works. You've got cone materials, you've got different types of fixtures. Check back. If you like us on Facebook, we'll send you another fixture. We've got light cones to adjust. You see the cone length is controlled right there. Sometimes you just want a little thing, sometimes you want it bigger. Now, I promised I would show you what beam brightness does. So when we come back out here and go into this, sometimes the beams are too punchy, all right, or they're too opaque. So what beam brightness does is it doesn't affect the light itself, but it's just the beam. It's just the brightness of the beam. So if we turn this down, it'll make them a little more subtle. And a lot of times subtle is the key. Okay, like that actually looks more like what you would see in a room. So of course the choice is yours. These are all tools waiting for you to be at your disposal. But you see, now that we've sort of dialed this back a little bit, it really starts to look real. So that's what we're looking at today. Fun stuff. So there we go. Okay. Oh, flares. My gosh, I can't stop without talking to you about flares. Flares right here. You just open this up and turn it on like this. The flare scale is one of the main controls right here. Of course, you can animate all this stuff. Notice that the flares didn't actually show up. Okay, that's an important point. The reason why is because the lights aren't pointing at the camera yet. Okay, what do we do about that? Well, let's do this. Let's go down here to what the lights are looking at and rotate these guys up a little bit. That's down. Okay, as soon as it starts getting up, then the flares start to show up. All right, so say they come over there, and we'll go back to our camera control, and as we rotate around, look at this. Actually, these are really too big. So we're going to take the flare scale, pull this down a little bit. All right, more like that. And we'll switch over to draft. From draft to final quality, make them a little nicer looking too. And you know what I'm going to do too is I'm going to go in and change them so that they match the color of the lights. Okay, that's always an important thing to do. There we go. That's starting to look really nice. let's take these guys and we're just going to go back in our setup window, and we're going to select the flares for light number 1, and then come here where it says use light color. And I want to show you what's going on with these. As we move these things in, you'll see they're just white. That's because they sort of default to white. If we turn on use light color, a white flare is not going to colorize too well. So we've got an item here called colorize, which will pull the color up for you. If you've got other things in here, like say you want to use one of these lights instead, sometimes tint works much better for this because it keeps the highlights in there and it makes it much easier to take a look at. So here we go. As we move these guys around, you'll see that they are going to be fading in and fading out based upon the angle. All right, here's a good example. You see how this one is much bigger, these are getting smaller. So we have right here a visibility angle set to 60. If we turn this way down, I'll show you what's going to go on. You see now this one has gone away. That's because we're not within that 15-degree angle. But see, these are. Now that one just disappeared. So there's a great example. You'll notice how they fade up based upon cone angle just the way a real light would. And then they fade down. No keyframing necessary. No, it's all sort of automatic animation. Makes it much, much easier to set these things up so that they look real. Okay, so there you go. That's how the flares work. To add a new flare, you probably saw what I did. All you have to do is drag and drop. Now there's one last thing. Drag and drop down to this place right here. Now there's one last thing I'm going to show you here, and that's called light rigs. The old way lighting worked, that's still available. That's right here. Okay, so what we're going to do is this. We're going to select the light set that we want the lighting rig to be applied to. And then all we need to do is drag and drop this guy, and it says replace light set 1, which is the one that's selected, with this rig. And you say yes please. And at that point you'll notice that we're going to get a lighting. Let's see, primitive 1 is probably the floor. There you go, that matches this. Now this is how the old lights work, and if you're opening up an old project, you're still going to get parallel lights that did this sort of thing. Parallel lights is all we have. Now however, we've got lots more. Now we've got entire rigs. What a rig is it's all the lights and all the flares for one light set. Okay, so I deleted it now, but if I had chosen that last one, all I'd have to do is just select light set number 1 and go up here and save this rig, and that's going to create a new icon for me right down here that's going to look exactly like what I have the camera looking at. Okay, so to use these, super easy. Just take these, like I said, and drag and drop. We're going to replace the old ones that are right there, and now you see what we have is we've got this. Let me make this background a little blacker so the punch is a little bit better. You see, this lighting rig are flares and glows and the trusses, in this case, all built together. So it makes it really easy to set up these super cool rigs really, really fast. If you want to edit any of these, of course, they're all here. So you just have to select like this flare, and that'll show you the glow that's going on. If you want to go here and say we pick, let's pick a random set of colors, so now they're all different colors, and then we can go to our light flares and tell it to use the light color. And that, if you look, actually we're going to have to colorize this. There we go. Now when you zoom in on this, you'll notice that the glows for each light is matching the same color as the beam. Alright, super cool. Okay, so there you go. That's a quick overview of the new features. Gosh, check out some of the example pictures we've got and example animations. They are super cool. So easy to do. I just can't wait to see what you have done with it.